All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. The conversation continues here. My guests are with me. We are calling it the voice of Comrades. Let me introduce them one more time, starting from my immediate right. Rahma Jarso Saraka, she's a student at the USIU. Thank you for making time. Mako Uko, youth leader, is here. Asante sana for making time. Daisy Otieno, student at the University of Nairobi, is also with us. Asante sana for making time. Wanaina Gishere, student at the University of Nairobi and also a member of the Funding Model Committee. Thanks for making time. Chesang Samoe, a law student at the Kenyatta University. Asante sana for making time. And David Msongori, President ACSAP, which is the Association of County Students Association Presidents. And also joining us online is Dr. Edwin Wanyonyi, CEO, Universities Fund, to answer the questions from the comrades. And I know Wainaina has a question directly to Edwin Wanyonyi before we get into matters politics, which we will release Dr. Wanyonyi at that point because he's a state officer. He's not allowed to engage in political matters. But for now, we're just going to talk about the comrades and the issues there. So I'll allow Wainaina to ask the question directly to Edwin Wanyonyi, who's the CEO for Universities Fund. Wainaina.
Thank you, Trevor. I have two questions to the CEO, Dr. Wanyonyi, but so many questions arises from the new funding model. But from what the comrades are saying, we've changed and we reduced, and I've heard the CEO talk about us moving from banding to categorizing students, each student according to their own personal need. My question is, we saw a communication from the PS Higher Education talking about banding, but she categorized students according to how much they'll pay, but now there's a range. For example, for band 1, she gave a certain range, for band 5 a certain range. So have we moved on from categorization, and how can I know which band am I in, what category am I in? That is the first question. The other one, indeed, Trevor, if we are talking about fees being reduced from students of medicine in 2023 paying 630,000 to them paying almost, being reduced to almost 38%, are we saying that we were overpricing the education sector at that time? And if that is true, should comrades be refunded the 38% of what they have been overpriced for the 2 years? And the other one, we've seen many comrades from the mashinani. The moment they come to the universities when we meet the internet. And if we band students according to what time they had applied, then most of these students who are at home at the time that this application was being made, they don't do these applications. So I'm asking the CEO, should we open the window for application after students have rejoined the university, so that they may allow students like us who come from the deepest streets in Nakuru to apply, at least when we have joined the university.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wanyonyi, I'll allow you to answer the questions.
Sure. Yes. Thank you, Trevor, and thank you, Naina, for the question. The first question on banding and categorization. Again, I mentioned that we were, in the first two cohorts, we did banding. But of course, I said, if you are in band 1 and you are at your percentage, you are at 70, and somebody else is at 69, and all of you in band 1, your challenges are different, and your needs, depending on your application, are different. And as part of the improvement, and having listened to the views of both comrades and parents, the effect was to make sure that we move towards categorization, so that you look at specifically this student, these are the challenges, and so these are the resources that you should be given. Now, what does that mean? Because we've had some challenges with the communication, and I must confess that when we talk about program cost, the program costs have been revised based on a scientific process. Because the models that have been used before, and the one that was actually varied was the student-lecturer ratio. That how do you vary the models? And because the comrades here work in that scientific space, you understand that sometimes when you vary one model, you can actually be able to work on reducing the costs. And so we just varied that one model and adjusted it a little bit. And we saw the savings. And so this is part of the continuous improvement. You know, like when you look at it from a business perspective, you say business process reengineering. So we're actually doing a reengineering process in our education and in our funding space. So it's not about the historical challenges, but it's what are we doing new to re-engineer the process so that then we can be able to ensure that students can access the funds much better, and the needy ones can actually access, and we can also reduce the cost and also create equity in this space. And therefore, this categorization actually now is all aligned. If you see many of these steps, they are actually very systematic, calculated based on listening and based on responding to the needs. Then in terms of the banding of students,
there was another question on
increasing time.
Were the units overpriced and should they be refunded?
No. Okay. So again, as I said, based on the model and based on the universities, you know, we can't work retrogressively. We need to work going forward. And because we are doing process improvement and re-engineering, in fact, we also beginning to look at other variables at universities. For example, the ability of the university to generate its own internal income. Will that be able to enable us to reduce the cost of the program because they're generating more money? If that happens, we will probably see the costs going down a little bit, and we are very keen to do that. Will that cause us to say that the cost of the programs were more expensive? No, it's because in the process of reengineering, we are looking at what else can we do to help reduce the cost so that more students can be able to have access. Because the key thing for us is no student is left behind. Those who are able to join universities and require funding receive funding as is required, and those who are needy receive the highest support that is required. In terms of opening the time for students to be able to apply, yes, we have had this. Remember that the closing period had first been on 31st of August this particular year. It was moved to 14th of August. This week we had a meeting with the vice chancellors of universities. We have noted some concern, particularly on, for example, a student who only applied for loan but didn't apply for scholarship. And so we're having conversations at our boards to try and see, can we be able to have a window to open that those ones who are having challenges can actually be able to close in. But remember, the key thing that we hope to do going forward is more sensitization. So we will be engaging the student leaders much more. We also want to engage more the students and the universities so that early in the year, we begin to understand the application process. And for the first-time students, they know that it's a longer process in terms of application. The continuing students know that they must, before the semester begins, they must be able to apply, and we then give a window as the semester begins, maybe a week or two, to allow those that have not been able to apply to do so on time. So I must admit, Trevor, that in terms of listening, our ministry, the government, there's been more listening to what the students are saying, just to make sure that we are able to deliver on our mandate, ensuring that we finance higher education. Thank you.
All right. David also has a question. David?
Thank you so much. I guess I start from where the CEO has left. The ministry is listening a lot to us as comrades and also the leaders of the comrades, but I'm very surprised that the ministry is not ready to refund of overpricing us for the last 2 years. So this is something we request the CEO and the ministry to consider. Kindly refund the overpricing. Other than that, because my brother has already raised what we are thinking as comrades, after being overpriced for 2 years, there is a window now to refund us. But my question to the CEO, maybe, is the government considering improving the rate or the speed of giving information to the comrades? Because you find, as we speak, there's still first years who do not know their fate in the scholarship, do not know their fate in the receiving the helps and all that. And we also need to know the speed of also the help. As you say, today our lecturers are at home, but some of us are suffering in the streets of the universities because maybe the help is delayed and all these challenges. So can we be funded in advance so that we also take a break like our lecturers? That is also a specific question from the comrades. Thank you so much.
Okay, Wanyonyi.
Thank you very much. for that question. On the overpriced part, I again want to say re-engineering continues, and we'll continue to see how to actually continuously reduce costs, because the key thing is access. And you will notice that even as we did this reduction of cost, it actually now affected both those who are now in third year, those who are in second year, the first and the second cohort, and now the first year. In terms of government, in terms of us sharing more information on a timely basis, I think this is one of the key things that we are working on, to ensure that A, you get the information on a timely basis in terms of funding, when the funds are available, when you should go to the HEF portal, when you should use the SSD code to be able to apply, and that we are doing. And for those who have been applying now, we've been asking them to join the groups. We have a huge WhatsApp group that now we share much more information. We're now sharing much more information to universities. In terms of speed of disbursement, again, I said we're working to improve data. We've just developed a new data returns portal so that we can have on very timely basis that the universities can give us data that this is a student who has actually been confirmed in this university. You will notice that even in second year, there are students who want to move to another university. So they apply to COOPs. So because the money follows the student, we must actually confirm that the student is in that university. So if you're in Nairobi and you choose to go to Kenyatta and we've paid Nairobi, we will have a challenge collecting the money again from Nairobi to redirect it to Kenyatta. And so that is where we are trying to work to smoothen that in terms of flow. We can be able to confirm that you're actually in Kenyatta University and not Nairobi, and that when you're in Nairobi, we confirm that then we push the money to you. Okay. And we are going to improve that. Thank you.
All right, Jerso, finally.
Yeah, so my question actually is based around funds reaching, most vulnerable groups. So how will the government ensure that the funds like help and scholarship actually reach the most vulnerable groups, like internally displaced youths and youths from marginalized area, not just well-connected youth, maybe who lives in the heart of Nairobi?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wanyonyi?
Thank you. And that's an important question. And by the way, one of the things of this student-centered funding model and the means testing instrument is to specifically deal with some of these issues. And the instrument continues to be refined so that it can pick the details that those who are from vulnerable are able to be captured. But one thing I want to implore, and I take this opportunity, Trevor, to just mention that the key thing is to be able to be truthful in terms of filling the forms. I know we've had challenges of sometimes people going to a cyber and students going to a cyber, and the cyber person just filling the form in any way. And therefore it denies the opportunity of that needy student to be able to give in the right data. That, I come from a vulnerable, this is where the school I went to, this is my primary, this is my secondary, this is where I live, this is what my parents' income is. And so that we can capture the right data, and therefore we can actually, through the means testing instrument, give the funds to those who are most needy. So this is one of the key things, because that's the equity creator that we are looking for. Thank you.
All right, and I'll give you a chance for closing remarks because I don't think there's any other question here, because we let you go and talk matters politics, Wanyonyi. And you mentioned something about sustainability and on-source revenue. What is the plan to ensure that these universities are sustainable in their own way by generating on-source revenue, so that in the event that they can actually subsidize the course fee that you've talked about?
So a couple of things are already being done behind the scenes, Trevor. I must mention that from the conversations between the university vice chancellors and the president, there are a couple of things being done. One of them is looking at leveraging on their own assets. The universities are some of the large estate owners in the country, and how can they leverage the assets to be able to generate more income that then will be able to support the activities of the university? So a couple of things, the business, they've all been required to develop business plans and models to use these assets. And this is one of the quick things that they will be able to do. And also focus much more on research that will be able to generate much more revenue and relook at other facets to improve in terms of their capacity to generate revenue from internally. But Trevor, finally, as I close, I just want to again thank our comrades and appreciate the continuous feedback that we receive, and we continue to improve. Please feel free to get in touch with us at Universities Fund. We are always available to deal with any of the issues that arise. We have, through our HEF portal, we are able to see what is your household contribution, what is your scholarship amount, what is the loan disbursed, and what is your program cost. And we can be able to advise any student that's having a challenge. Please do not suffer alone where you are. We are here to support you because we don't want any student left behind in terms of university education. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. for making time. That's Dr. Edwin Wanyonyi, CEO, Universities Fund. Asante sana for speaking to the comrades and giving them the answers from your perspective. We appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. Now back in studio, Daisy, you know, it's interesting that you guys don't seem to have much complaints, but we know it's day 9 of the lecturer strike. How are you coping generally? What is happening with the students? Are you just sitting in the lecture halls? Are you just walking around the streets? What's going on?
Well, actually, that's the big disaster right now. Yeah, and that's the bone of perception right now. So we are very, very much, as students, we are the ones who are most affected when learning stops. Because at the end of the day, it's education, not just education, productive education. But we are worried on how we are going to achieve this productive education while lecturers keep on striking each and every single year as if it's a routine right now. So we want them to at least tell us if strike is now included in our curriculum, so we see how to cope with it. Yeah, because we can't continue doing this.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how are you surviving? So what are the students doing?
Actually, the students are complaining.
Are you just in the lecture halls on your own? What happens?
The students are complaining that even the resources that they carried from home, like food, are finished. Now the lecturers are still on strike. It's hard, and we are just idle, actually. Okay. But some of us, I think some of the students are home right now. Okay. Yeah, but some are hopeful, optimistic like us. We are still waiting for them. Yeah, right. And we are honestly requesting for their prompt
action.
Yeah, sure.
Chesang, how are you coping as students? Draw for us a picture. So your lecturers are on strike. What happens?
Okay, thank you. With the lecturers strike, our academics right now at limbo, and we don't know what to do, but most of us have engaged differently. Some of us are idle. Some of us, this is the time to do the community work, the activities that we've planned. And some of us have started some businesses with the little money we had for the semester, because some are hoping that the strike will be over. Some are like, it might take longer compared to last year. So we are having different views and different activities that comrades are doing.
Okay. Wainaina, what are the comrades doing?
Trevor, we have to know that the generation that we are dealing with, the generation of students that we are dealing with, is a very different generation. And I know most comrades know the reason behind all these strikes. Most comrades know why are lecturers not in classes. We've seen the SG WASU talk about the CRB that they've been signing from
CBA.
The CBS that they've been signing since time immemorial. And the students now want to know, how can we solve all this? What is the input of comrades in this matter? Because, Trevor, last semester we had a strike. The other semester we had a strike, almost a month. This is time spent that we could have spent studying in class, and yet we are now at home. Number two, Trevor, I must say, you could have seen comrades in the streets, but they are now asking, why should we strike and we have no food in our stomachs? We have no help. Help is not disbursed. And according to the wise saying of comrades, we are supposed to be eating chicken. We are not supposed to be eating like chicken. So a time has come. Maybe the CEO of University Fund, when he releases the help funds, he will help us a lot, because now comrades will have the energy to go on strike and to actually tell the Ministry of Education to first deal with the lecturers. First, listen to the lecturers, what they are saying. We've had them tell the CS Education that they'll meet in court. But when they meet in court, it is us comrades who are suffering. It is us who, for example, Trevor, I was to do my first semester exam on December last year, but it was pushed to February this year. That is 2 months wasted. They had even to reduce my holiday. And I usually spend my holiday to engage with my good people of Nakuru Town East constituency. How will I? But now I think they are now giving me more time to engage with my people. But it is borrowed time for the future because I know they'll increase the time that I'll spend in this semester.
Okay.
So it is very sad. This issue has to be addressed. Okay. It is a very concerning and a serious issue.
Okay. Mark, what are your views on this? Because you've been a student leader before, and this is something that happens very frequently. What is the best solution going forward in your view? And how can these comrades engage themselves at a time when there's a standoff between their lecturers and the government?
I think one of the top issues for me, I think fundamentally, is because, you know, when students come to a certain academic year, most of them tend to have already budgeted for themselves. You know, most of them come from the outskirts of Nairobi. So somebody will say, this is a certain amount I'll use for housing, this is a level I'll use for food, etc., etc. Now, when there is these prolonged strikes, or when students are out of school, most of them now have to pre-adjust. In fact, when I was speaking to some students, they were telling me some of them had to travel back at home because they could not maintain paying, you know, the rent affairs that are, you know, are currently keeping them at bay in Nairobi. So I think primarily it goes to back what I'd said prior before. If when the ministry say beginning of any financial year, one of the things that they should prioritize is releasing the capitation that is due to the education, because education is a sector that affects nearly all households. So if, say, the academic year for 2025 begins, or academic year 25-2026 begins, the capitation for help, the capitation for students, you know, whether it's in terms of paying lecturers, etc., comes prior, so that students do not have to be, you know, in and out of classes in between, disrupting even their budget process for, you know, managing their welfare themselves.
Yeah. David, what is the best way out of this? It's a standoff that now everybody is collateral damage. The lecturers and the government don't see eye to eye. The students are the ones also on the receiving end.
I'm actually wondering, because every comrade you hear here and every comrade you talk to, we all work with budgets. So I'm wondering, is the government not working with budgets when it comes to lecturers? Because we were on a whole holiday since May or somewhere June all the way to September. And it's the same period when the government should budget, and it's this very same period we as comrades were budgeting. So one of my best views is that let us all budget, and let no one's budget inconvenience someone else's budget. Like today, probably the ministry's budget is betraying the comrades' budget. We are not happy. We might be silent, but silence doesn't mean contention, or doesn't mean we are happy. Being idle, going back home. You know, Trevor, going back home means first distorting even your parents' budget. So one of the key solutions for this is that I don't know why they want to meet in court, but they can meet in a boardroom again and have a sober solution. A sober solution, not a CBA. Since I was born, Trevor, I usually hear of CBAs with different unions, and mostly they come in when it pertains education. So I don't know, maybe we should try CBA in other unions and not in education sector. So let them come in a boardroom, discuss on a way forward, or not a CBA as a way forward. Because once again, next year, January, they'll say the CBA for 2025 September or October has not been met, and they discuss another CBA. So let us do away with these CBAs in education, take them somewhere else, maybe in the Ministry of Water or somewhere else better, and let us come with a solution and a budget for the same.
Okay. Yeah. I want to shift this conversation now and talk about the general state of the nation from your perspective as young people. And I'll start with you, Jarso, on this. Where is the country heading? Is it heading in the right direction or the wrong direction? You've seen the opinion polls that have been all over the place. In fact, even today, there's another one on the front page of the Standard here. In your view, is the country heading in the right or the wrong direction?
I think I won't say either right or wrong. I'll just be in between. You know, sometimes you might say right, but things are not working 100%, and you might say wrong, but some things are working. So it's just, we're just in between the right way and the wrong way, because some things are working and some things are not working. But again, at the same time, it's now the right time to, you know, be accountable to this government and at least ensure in few years, at least the country will be heading in the right direction when it comes to education, prioritizing those sectors, because I believe it's because of education that we are all here today. Education is just a powerful thing that will make people come together, especially young people, to, you know, come up with different ideas and have their own startups and invest in innovation and also create employability for other young people. So I'll say not really in the right or wrong, but there is progress. But now we need to have to push up our game as a country to ensure the country will be heading in the right direction in few years.
Yeah. What are your greatest points of concern? You said you're in the middle, you know, the country is not heading in the right direction or the wrong direction, but as a young person, what are you mostly concerned about?
I'm concerned about the priority about young people. You know, young people, when it comes to representation of young people in these government sectors, because I believe we are actually people who are going through a lot in this country, because when it comes to now this funding model, we are the ones going through a lot. But now, if we will be at the table and we will be raising our concerns according to how we want, I think things will be working in the right direction. And if we will be given power, you know, to really exactly state what we want as a country and as a young people, things will be working.
Do you feel your voice is being heard as young people?
Yes, but now not the voice of all young people, few young people. But now, if we will say 100%, then we need every young person to be heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Mark, is the country heading in the right or the wrong direction?
Trevor, the country is heading on the right direction. In fact, I was telling some people, if you're not careful, President Ruto might turn this country to Singapore before 2032, as he has been alluding. But three things, Trevor. This response can be gauged in two ways. I saw Infotrack talking about around 57% of people saying the country is heading on the wrong direction. Tifa talking about 62%, about a difference of 5%. Now, one, if we base this response due facts, the country is heading on the right direction. Look at our gross domestic product, at the percentage in which the country has been growing the last past year. It has been at around 4.9% prior to a 3.2% when President Uhuru left. When President Ruto took over this country, the debt ceiling was already up. In fact, in 2023, 60% of our revenue was being used to pay debts. If you look at our price stability on inflation levels, at a time like this last year, it was at a rate of almost 3.7% to 4.2%. That has increasingly decreased by this year. The cost of basic commodities has gone down. I normally tell people, you cannot fight a socialist designed government by an uprising. Everybody here, although there are so many people who fight Shah, almost everybody here can say that they have a relative, they have a friend whom they know Shah has been working for. The last time I was here, about 19.1 million Kenyans had registered for Shah. Today it is going almost to 24 million. So many people believe in Shah. Secondly, we can say this response is gauged on something called public trust level, okay? So public trust level there's a social analogy that we used to say that when we were growing up, you used to be told that you should not marry from this particular community. Not meaning that girls from that particular community are really bad, but it is just the trust level into it. So, for example, if there's an abduction case that would happen today, although all these factors have been able to mention, the public trust will have already gone down. And the third thing that I want to say, Trevor, is this. I normally question the sampling size of these polls, because I was seeing averagely they are doing about 2,400 people to gauge, you know, the state of the direction. If you are to divide 2,400 people across the 290 constituencies, that means you are taking samples from almost merely 8 people from all these constituencies. So I sometimes think that some of these polls are just fictitious and are just meant, you know, to just some, you know, to make them sound popular. But the truth of the matter is that where President Ruto is taking this country, if we are not careful, by 2028 will be like Singapore 2029, because you all know President Ruto will be here for the next 10 years. So we are on the right direction.
Daisy?
Well, Trevor, I think the country is heading the right way, and you can be my witness. Just initially, people were shouting one term, but now it is Kumi Bila break everywhere. Because I know that Kenya is somewhere that Kenyans can never stay quiet when something is going wrong. But if it reaches a point where they are shouting Kumi Bila break, I believe the country is heading, we are on track.
You think you're heading in the right direction?
Yeah.
Okay, Wanaina?
Trevor, we have to be very sincere as panelists here. We cannot say the country is heading in the right direction. The country is not heading in the right direction. My friend Mark is saying that President Ruto wants to make Kenya the Singapore of Africa. Singapore didn't kill its children. Singapore didn't abduct its children. Singapore didn't, under their watch, there was no extrajudicial killings. We didn't have students dropping out of school because of a very bad funding model that they introduced themselves at the government. I know Mark sleeps here at State House. He can say such words. But the truth of the matter is the country is headed in the wrong direction. We have lecturers striking. We have Shah. I've heard him say that Shah is working. Trevor, as I've said, I am an aspirant for Member of Parliament for Nakuru Town East constituency. Before I woke up, I found 10 messages of people from Nakuru Town East having fundraisers each and every day. We had a fundraiser yesterday night. We'll have another one today. On Sunday, we'll have another one to fundraise for medical issues. And if we say Shah is working, then those people will feel like we are living in our own world. Trevor, we had the president at the United Nations General Assembly confessing that we took our own people to Haiti and they are now dying. We're now killing our own people in a foreign nation. The family didn't know where their kin was until the president said in Haiti, in the United Nations General Assembly. Trevor, the nation is headed in the wrong direction. And those polls, I think, they are even, they were paid by the government at least to make the figures a bit, to look like the nation is heading in the right direction. It is not 60, is it 65%?
57% say it's wrong direction.
Yeah, it is not that. Most of the people, 99% of people are saying that the country is headed in the wrong direction.
Okay.
Trevor,
okay.
We have, for example, my friend here is saying that the country is headed in the right direction. Look at the level of corruption in this nation. The other day we had governors, it was even in your media house, which said, for example, Nakuru has 303 bank accounts. Is that the right direction that we are talking about? We had the other day the media stations saying the government of Kenya withdrew 1.2 trillion from our banks, from the Central Bank of Kenya. 1.2 trillion is a lot, Trevor. The country is not heading in the right direction. And that is the voice at the ground. And for us, because from what our party leader says, to skiz the ground, I want to tell Mark, atoke tu hapa nje kidogo, and he has the next border guy, which they campaigned with. Nowadays, they go at State House and they are conned that they give 27,000 and they be given motorbikes. I want to ask Mark to go outside there, ask the next person that you meet, or even ask you, Trevor, after the show, if the country is headed in the right direction.
It's not about to be so. Chesang, what do you think? Is the country heading in the right or the wrong direction?
We have factors to consider when we are saying that whether the country is heading to the right direction. I'll have, let's say, around 5 factors. If we look at the economic resilience, we look at the accountability rate of the government, we look for the opportunities for the young people, let's say education and health, and also climate action and sustainability. Those are the key things that you need to consider when we are deciding whether the state is heading to the right direction or the other way. When it comes to this other side, you also need to look at even though we are having our own downs as a country, let's say for the extrajudicial killings and the abductions that happened back, I feel like we don't have to take much negative things to determine that the state is not heading to the right direction. Let's look at the accountability rate. When you look at the accountability, most of the government systems, including SHA, education, and everything, has been done online to reduce the corruption rates. Let's say that we need to go to the site, we need to go and do this. Let's look at the sustainability and climate and agriculture. We have had subsidized fertilizer. We've had personally, in my county, Wasingishu, we've had trainings for farmers through the county government. We've had the governor is distributing coffee for people. In the next 3-4 years, we'll have a positive side in the side of agriculture. When we look at the education and health sector, the education sector, the government is really trying to ensure that the comrades' welfare are catered for. We've all agreed on the panel that the education system is working for the help. When we look at the lecturers' strike, the government released around 2.5 billion just before the strike started. I feel like in as much as the government is having its own setback, it's really trying to ensure that the lecturers are catered for. And the final point was on digital skills and innovation. The government is really trying to ensure that we have the Ajira digital platforms. We are having innovation hubs that the government, we were told that the 30 wards each ward will have their own ICT innovation. We are having the Konza Technopolis, the city of innovation in Africa. So I feel we need to consider other things. We don't need to consider the political aspect for us to decide whether the state is heading to the right direction. If we rely so much on the political aspect, what the politicians are saying, you see, the politicians, we have for the right and the no. So if we consider what the no are saying, we definitely will be heading to the other direction. We really need to consider the issues that do affect us as citizens. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll come to those issues in just a short while. Let me hear what David thinks first of all. Is the country heading in the right direction or the wrong direction?
I'll not answer directly, but you all know that the country is going to the right direction as much as you're putting the government of the day in its true measures. My brother, the Honorable MP for the future, in Nakuru, is speaking of the country not going in the right direction, but I don't know why. We believe, myself and him voted for this government, and we voted for this government under 5 pillars. So if we can speak of if we are going in the right direction, measuring on these pillars, then we are now also, as a panel, going in the right direction, not politics. One of the things was education. We just started saying, there are no challenges, comrades are contented. We just need to have small conversations for the lecturers and the quick reimbursement of our payments as comrades. We look at health. I'm wondering, and also challenge the Honorable MP, I'll call him MP because I believe in supporting young people despite where he stands to mislead the country. But one, I'll encourage him to encourage the people in his constituency to register in SHA. I stand with confidence that SHA is working. You can ask me and I can take you to different hospitals in this country. Even before I came here yesterday, I met some patients in Voi at Moi Hospital who are benefiting from SHA. So it's not a story. Go to the hospitals and talk to those people who are sick, not the people pretending to be sick or to be speaking for the sick. The third one is the housing. And I request my brother Marco Uko to apologize to the president. We are not making the Singapore. We are in Singapore. Kenya is actually the new Singapore, not in Africa, in the world. Everyone in every town today, we were saying our country has turned into a construction site. And yes, Look at every corner, Mukuru, Kibera, Voi, everywhere we have a house coming up, and these houses are not meant for people like Marco Uko, who already have a room in State House, as our brother has confirmed. I don't know if it's true, but these houses are made for the people who are living in devastating conditions, and these are the very people who voted for the president. The other thing is digital superhighway. Just to confirm what my sister has said, the Ministry of ICT is looking up to have an ICT hub in every ward in this Republic of Kenya, something that maybe would take us to now the creativity and innovation in China. So we are not even talking of being a Singapore. We should start a conversation of being a China in terms of innovation and the creativity that we are nurturing within our country using these ICT hubs.
Okay.
I guess from that, the government and the country is going with the right direction, because what we gave as the people, over 7 million, and probably some of us or some of the Kenyans didn't make to vote due to time or other commitments, but I believe it was a 7 million vote by physical vote and also by trust by the people, gave the government a responsibility to restore affordable housing, to restore a health system, to restore education, and these things are working.
Okay.
As I mentioned, for the clarity, maybe my brother is facing the bitterness of the change because he doesn't want to change. He wants Mumia Sugar to continue dying. He wants people in Kibra to continue living the way they are living in Mabati houses. He wants what we call education. He wants the cartels who are within the education system to continue benefiting. I don't know, maybe his party leader is part of the cartels or whatever, but let us look at what the government was given to do and what they are doing, not the benefit.
Are you concerned that private hospitals have suspended SHA?
I'm very concerned, but I believe we should look at what common mwananchi can afford. I don't think, Trevor, a common mwananchi in my constituency, my ward, Kasiga ward in Taita, is able to go to any private hospital. And a matter of fact, very few of them are in Taita. So are we looking at the people in Nairobi, or are we looking at the people in Isiolo, in Marsabit, in Isiolo, in Marsabit, in even Mandera, where these private hospitals are small or minimal? Again, why are only the private hospitals complaining? Don't we think about the cartels? Don't we think about the boss to our brother here? He's maybe the one who is leading the private hospital to strike or call off SHA because they were benefiting from stealing from NHIF. Even the opposition, Raila Odinga and the other oppositions, once in a time when they were campaigning, confirmed that NHIF had cartels. So today, the issue with SHA is that SHA is being more clear with whatever it's giving out and whatever you're asking for. And this is what they want. They don't want us to know as Kenyans. So when we get to know, they want to run away from the fact.
Okay. Wainaina, you've been adversely mentioned, so I'll give you a chance to respond before I take quick feedback.
Yes, Trevor. I don't know what my brother has to say on the recent report of the Auditor General. We saw ghost hospitals. The CEOs and those high-rank officials at the Ministry of Health, they have hospitals which were receiving almost in the tune of hundreds of millions in ghost hospitals. I don't know what you have to say about that. And because you said cartels are only in NHIF. NHIF was there. I was using NHIF. My family was using NHIF. I have a family member who is being treated at Kijabe Hospital. And the moment when the mission-based hospitals said that they will no longer allow SHA, our family now crumbled because we had already paid for that SHA. I have paid for SHA myself. My brother here said I have to tell my people from Nakuru Town East to register as members for that scam. But now, Trevor, me myself, I paid for that whole year because they are now saying you cannot pay for 1 month. You have to pay for the whole year. I paid. When I go to hospitals, I can't be treated. I have to use my own money. I cannot mislead my people to tell them that they must register for SHA so that Duale and his ilks can steal money. We have to be very sincere, my brother. We know and we have to say that when we had Kibaki as our president, we had Vision 2030. The hustler narrative came just the other day, but we are now not talking about Vision 2030. The president of Kenya should be telling us where he wants this nation to be in the next 100 years or 50 years.
Okay.
Maybe Vision 2063, when we'll be at 100 years.
All right.
Trevor, just a moment.
For the record, you have to be careful with mentioning names, especially when you don't have evidence towards it.
But the Auditor General, that is the report, a government report, Trevor.
The Auditor General did not single out an individual.
Okay.
Like when I say Wanaina is still...
But the person heading that department has to be responsible for that, Trevor. We know we want Kenya to be like China, Singapore, and all those things that my brothers here, who are friends of the government, are talking about. Trevor, in China, we don't have the level of corruption that we have here in Kenya. In China, they don't steal 2 billion a day. And that is the time of Uhuru Kenyatta. I don't know what level of corruption we are talking about currently. We have heard my brother talk about the former opposition leader, because currently the current opposition leader is His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. The former opposition leader said that Adani was a very good deal, but Adani was implicated in a deal in USA, in a corruption deal. Are these people who we want to associate with as a country? So my brothers here, I have to tell them it is good to support the government. And my sister has said that when we talk about the people who are opposing the government, we are going in the wrong direction. No. We, the people who are opposing this government, we are not opposing it because we hate a certain individual. We are opposing the government because that is what the people are saying.
Okay.
That is the response from the ground, Trevor.
All right. Let me bring in some quick feedback. I'll give you a chance to respond to you very quickly because we're running out of time. But let's see some feedback here and see what the people are saying. Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Citizen Daybreak. I'll start with you, Jarso, come to Mark, and then Daisy, and then we finish with Chesang. Okelo Mwalimu says the government should act in good faith and honor the 2021-2025 lecturers CBA in order to restore normalcy in university education. Striking dawns with sack notice is not only unnecessary, but also unacceptable since government is a going concern. Past CBAs must be honored. Okay. Bobo Tieno says government is being insincere with comrades from the new funding model and not committing to the CBA they signed with the lecturers, leading to their strike, which has paralyzed learning at public universities. Sir Nixon says a lecturer's strike is a symptom of a larger problem, mostly affecting the future of the students greatly. Therefore, the government should not ignore the plight of the lecturers, nor should it address their issues half-heartedly. Okay? Mwende says the lecturer's strike and standoff with the ministry is unfair to parents and students. In the end, students will still be required to pay full fees, yet the semester days will obviously be affected, most likely shortened. Okay, Gina Lazaro, the last one here, says growing an economy depends heavily on education. When the education sector is in chaos, the nation cannot move in the right direction. Youth, instead of consistently complaining, should take up their votes and elect progressive leaders. And that's where we're closing with this conversation, Jar. So do you think the young people will be the change that they desire, or will they act the same way they have always acted?
Thank you so much. Actually, even if you asked something out of that concept, I was still going to talk about young people. So let me say, I think young people actually, yes, we really want to bring change in this country, but at the same time, it's young people that are making us to head in the wrong direction. Why? Because when you look at people who have connection and opportunities in the government at the moment, they are there supporting the government. But they are so much centered within their current opportunities and connection, but they are not looking at the future that we want as a country. You know, when you look at that coming generation, you know, you have to be really careful in terms of you standing up as a young person and saying, yes, I'm in the government, but this is not working. It's not all about, yes, you have all the connection and opportunities, now you are in the government, or maybe you are staying in the State House and you don't think about that girl or boy who is in interior of Kenya, who has never been to school, or who, like, you know, that family, vulnerable communities within the interior of Kenya, you know, SHA is not working for them. They said SHA is working, but if you will do your research, SHA is not working in most part of the country, especially in those marginalized communities. And one thing I really want to say is, as a young people in this country, we really have to be very keen in terms of what we want, because I feel like, yes, we want to see change in this country, but at the same time, let's leave our connection and opportunities that we have currently and focus on the future, you know, the Kenya that we want, you know, where each and every child will go to school, each and every child will be treated, and each and every child will be able to stand up as a young person and become leader in this country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark, 1 minute as you close. Yeah. It's only the four of you haven't spoken. So it's you, Daisy, and Chesa. Yeah.
You know, Trevor, I think one of the reasons why Mukisa Kuitui was selected as spokesperson for the opposition and not Cleophas Malala is because I think most people from DCP do not do their research before, you know, making their facts. But it's understandable because it's a junior upcoming party and they may not have time to, you know, set up a research department for that party. But I will say this, even if you do not want President Ruto, he will still be the president of Kenya till 2027, even if you have the option of voting otherwise. Well, for some of us, no, he'll be president till 2032. Let the young people in this country take advantage, particularly of the funds that government is currently offering in supporting youths. There's the Wezo Fund. Over 64,000 youths were able to benefit from it. There's the Hustler Fund that was there. There's the Nyota Fund. Some of these funds will help young people, particularly in, you know, in developing this digitally incubated economy that we are heading to. So my clarion call to the young people is this: take opportunities and advantage of some of these funds that government is offering to you to better your lives.
Okay.
Thank you.
Daisy?
Well, Trevor, what I can say is that we are going to, as young people, we are going to achieve whatever we want. Because up to now, in my own perspective, I have realized that the government of Kenya is only reacting to threats. Because I relate it when the lecturers were quiet. The lecturers kept on saying that they will strike. The government of Kenya was just quiet until they striked. Now they are calling them in court. So I would love to tell young people to continue standing for themselves. Yeah, because the last time I checked, we are good now. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir?
As we close up, Trevor, I'd like to say this. As young people, the government has given us a seat at the table through education, empowerment, and digital skills. It's up to us to go to those seats, to go to those tables, and pick what is us. For the criticism, it's good, but let's make in a way that it's providing solution. Let's walk the talk, not just making noise. Thank you.
David, very briefly.
Sure. I want to be as brief as possible with first telling my brother with the NHIF he wouldn't recognize cartels because it was being run by cartels, and with my sister here, we might seem connected, but maybe to confirm from the connection AXAP Kenya has, if there is any, we've been able to show the young people the way in terms of when opportunities come, we share with them. Maybe Trevor, to confirm to you and maybe to her and the country at large, we got a connection and an opportunity from the Republic of Azerbaijan some few months ago, and few days from today, we'll be taking around 4 young people to Azerbaijan to further their studies in terms of masters. So these are the things we are saying. Join the conversation, get to know what is happening, get to know the how, and now as young people, let us sit down together and have a conversation on going forward for the next 7 years or so, so that we, in 2032, I believe myself, Marco Uko here, and even our brother MP will be ripe for the presidency. Okay. So then we can receive a ripe country for young people from His Excellency Daktari.
All right.
Thank you.
Wainaina,
my closing remarks, I just want to talk to our youths. The youths of Kenya, we are the people. We are the custodians of change. And I have to say that from Monday, the continuous voter registration will start, so that the youths of Kenya may take votes. Those of you who don't have IDs, please apply for the IDs, even if Mr. Ruto increased the charges to reapply for IDs. Please sacrifice that 1,000 shillings, go apply for IDs. After you've gotten your IDs, go to your nearest IEBC office and apply for the voter card, so that in 2027, all these things that we are talking about, the things to do with a failed health system, a failed education system, corruption, all these things, we have to be at the table.
Okay.
And if you are not at the table, we have to break that table.
All right. Thank you for making time. Marco Uko, youth leader, Daisy Otieno, student UON, Chesang Samuelo, student KU, Rakmajar Soseraka, student USIU, David Msongori, president AXAP, and Wainaina Gishere, student University of Nairobi and member of the funding model committee. Thank you all for speaking to us this morning, and thank you for all the feedback that you sent through. We're taking a quick break. Coming up next is DJ Gigi on the decks. All right. Have a fantastic weekend ahead, people. Bye for now.